my hair. It's not really about body or shine. It's just, can I make it one more day without showering? Hi, I'm Celeste and this is Bookish and Belle. Welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time watching me, I make videos about minimalist style, lazy girl beauty, and other ways to live a more effortless and awesome life. So today we're going to be talking about November favorites. My food favorite this month is making homemade pies. So this is something I always like to do, but I especially get it done this time of year because of Thanksgiving. We go over to my brother's house and he makes the turkey and everybody brings side dishes and stuff. And for as long as I can remember, homemade cranberry sauce and homemade pie have been my job. So this year I made two. I made a pumpkin cream pie that I make every year because it's my husband's favorite. It has a ginger snap crumb crust and the filling is like a custard base that you do over the stovetop and then you chill the whole thing. I think it's a nice alternative to a regular pumpkin pie. I really like the flavor and the texture better, and the crumb crust is really cool. So I've actually made that every year for I think 5 or 6 years now. And then I like to try a new pie, and this year I made a vegan chocolate coconut pie. Coconut cream pie? No, chocolate, what am I trying to say? Chocolate cream pie? Anyway, it's like a vegan, like custard alternative filling in a chilled pie. It has a traditional pâte brisée crust, but of course I had to make that vegan, so I did it with chilled coconut oil and chilled coconut milk, and I actually even chilled the flour because it's very important to keep everything super cold when you're working with vegan alternatives to butter and lard. It can be really difficult to get the proper texture. So I'm hoping that turned out well. It's actually Thanksgiving tomorrow, so that is in my fridge right now, but I haven't had the chance to taste test it. I did taste test a bit of the filling, obviously, although not set. But the filling is made with tofu and some more coconut milk and melted vegan chocolate. I think that's all, besides like some vanilla and stuff. My fashion favorite for November is still being made, but I think it's still my favorite because it's the thing that I am excited most about. So I haven't worn it yet. Hopefully I will be able to wear it at least. I'm hoping before I'm going to New Orleans the second week of December with my mom, and I'm hoping I will have it done by then. So this is what I have. As you can tell, it's going to be a little longer in the back, and I've just gotten up to the underneath the sleeves and split it. So I've been knitting a bit on the back here while the front is, the stitches are being held. And if you don't know anything about knitting, a sweater is not usually where you start. I actually taught myself to knit when I was around 10, which would have been 18 years ago. And let me tell ya, this is my first sweater that isn't a baby sweater. So the construction of a baby sweater is essentially the same, but you know, obviously this is a bit more intimidating. And I'm really excited about it. I've done a lot with knitting. I've done color work and baubles and just three-dimensional stuffed objects and socks and lace work and all kinds of things. But for some reason, when I think about making a sweater, well, I've actually started a sweater before that I ended up frogging, which is when you rip out knitting. For some reason, I wanted this first sweater that I made to be something I would actually really love to wear. I didn't want to waste all of that time and energy. Like when you're knitting, a lot of people talk about are you a product knitter or a process knitter, and of course it's sort of a continuum and there's all these places on between. But I tend to lean process, which means that it doesn't bother me that much to create something if the finished object isn't so much what I'm excited about. I'm more interested in the actual process. So a project knitter will knit something that's no fun to knit at all because they want that product, and I think I said project, I meant product knitter. And a process knitter will knit something where they don't even know what they're gonna do with the end product, and maybe they'll just donate it or give it to somebody as a gift, or it'll just sit around or whatever, but like they're more into the process. So big surprise, I'm not huge on the material items. I'm more about the process, which probably won't be surprising at all if you know me from this channel. But that's not to say I don't like the end product, especially when it's a big, beautiful sweater that I've spent hours and hours and hours on. So I really did not have a lot of interest in making something that I wasn't going to love, and I've just been really picky, and to tell you the truth, I had not knit such a large object before. I hadn't ever been monogamous to one project for that long, and because the other one that I had done didn't work out, it was a little intimidating. I'm thinking I would like to talk more about, I've said before on this channel that I want to talk more about my reading life, and I want to talk more about my knitting life. Please give this video a thumbs up and let me know in the comments if you are interested in that, because I'm toying with how I want to do it. I don't want to pollute this channel with a bunch of content that's on a totally different topic and have subscribers be annoyed that that's popping up in their feed and then maybe unsubscribe. But I also don't want to totally go crazy and open a second channel that might be a bit overkill. I'm not really sure how much of that content I want to make, and obviously then there's the question of like building a whole audience for it. So I haven't really figured that out. If you have suggestions, if you're a YouTuber yourself, if you've struggled with this, let me know. And if you are interested in seeing that kind of content, let me know, because it'll help me gauge what kind of interest there is for it. It's time for my beauty favorite. I'm excited about this one, guys. So every month I always think, oh my God, am I even gonna have a beauty favorite? Because I'm not big on buying new products. And so far, every month there's either been something I already used that I was really appreciating or using a lot that I could mention, or there has been a new product. Anyway, it is Living Proof Style Lab Prime Style Extender Spray. That says it locks in your style longer, weightlessly perfecting, weatherproofing, time saving. So I guess the concept is that it shields your hair from excess dirt and oil accumulating, which will extend how clean your hair is and looks between washes. And I would normally be kind of skeptical of something like that. I'm really skeptical of all hair care, because I feel like a lot of them are overblown, and also in certain ways I just don't really know enough about it to know the difference between something good and something bad. But I have decided that I am pretty trusting of Living Proof because their dry shampoo. Are you sensing a pattern in the kind of products I need? This helps you go longer between washes, and dry shampoo also helps you go longer between washes. So yes, if you're wondering, I'm just as much of a dirty hippie as I sound like I am. When it comes to my hair, it's not really about body or shine. It's just, can I make it one more day without showering? Because that's really my primary concern. Not even kidding. So that's my hair situation. Anyway, their dry shampoo is great. So when I heard about this product, and it was right up my alley in terms of making it longer between washes, I thought I would give it a try, and so far it has been working great. I will say I've been a little confused about how I should use it, because when I get out of the shower I always put on leave-in conditioner, and it doesn't say whether you should put it on before or after your leave-in conditioner. So I kind of tried both ways, and I feel like when I put it on before the leave-in conditioner, it shielded, which it would make sense that it would, because it's meant to shield from oils and stuff, that it didn't let the leave-in conditioner properly penetrate my hair. So the next time I put in the leave-in conditioner first, and then I added this on top of that, and I think that worked better. So I'm thinking that's probably what I'm supposed to do. So for media, I've been on a little bit of a true crime kick. Actually, I think it's coming to an end. It started kind of mid-October, and I'm still reading the books that I'm going to tell you about, but I'm not currently like seeking out something else in this genre, although I don't know. Anyway, so I have never been necessarily that much of a true crime person, although obviously I've read and loved In Cold Blood. I think that's, if you're a book person, that's one that it often comes up, given that it sort of was the first step toward narrative nonfiction in a big way, and so I loved that. And in the last year, I got really into American Crime Story, The People vs. O.J. Simpson, which was incredible. And then I read the Jeffrey Toobin book, The Run of His Life, that it was based on. And I also read If I Did It, Confessions of the Killer, which was O.J.'s, I guess memoir wouldn't be the right word, but it's not really a biography. Anyway, O.J.'s confession. If you don't know about that book, it's a book that a murderer wrote where he confesses to the murder that he got away with. But it was ruled that he couldn't profit off of it, and then because he lost in a civil suit for the wrongful death of one of the people who he killed, that person's family members were able to get the rights to the confession and then publish it. So when you buy that book, you're actually giving money not to the killer who wrote it, but to the family of the victim, which is really cool. So anyway, if you want to know more about how all of that works, you should Google that, because it's fascinating. So because of the OJ thing, I think I've been just a little bit more open to what could be interesting about true crime. I never thought of myself as like into the gory details or anything, but I am interested in the legal system, and I'm interested in how mysteries are solved, and I guess I sometimes get a little bit of like a justice boner for stuff, especially crime against women, and just sort of there are ways in which good, respectful true crime tells untold stories of victims who have had their narrative and their life sort of, told for them by these violent people. And so there's so many interesting directions that a crime story can go, and I've started to appreciate it in a new way, in a way that I just don't think I was ever that exposed to it before. So all of that is to say that in October, I got in a bit of a true crime kick because I was listening to the podcast Sampler, which actually just ended, but you should, if you haven't listened to it, you can go back and listen to the old episodes. Basically, it's a podcast that lets you know about other cool podcasts, and every episode has like a different theme. And they had a theme on true crime, and that kind of kicked me off. So I listened to these two different true crime mini-series that were both really good, and started reading a book that I heard about on another podcast that was not such a great podcast. I mean, it was fine, but anyway, I'm not going to talk about it. It just wasn't, I subscribed for a while and then I unsubscribed because it just wasn't really my thing. So I'm not even going to mention it because I'm not trying to give like a bad review or whatever. I'm just trying to be honest about where I found out about the book. Point is, the true crime mini-series are Accused, which is actually done by the Cincinnati Enquirer, the newspaper where I'm from, and is about a somewhat local murder. It took place in Oxford, which is the college town where Miami and Oxford is, which is like a private, no, not a private school. It's not, yeah, it's a public Ivy, I guess. It's not exactly the term I'm looking for, but that's how they sell themselves. Anyway, like a very nice local, semi-local school near here. And that is actually about a murder that took place in the 1970s that is sort of still unsolved, basically because the police decided they thought they knew who did it, and that person wasn't convicted, and they just sort of gave up on solving the crime, but there's reason to believe that maybe he didn't actually do it. So that's an interesting one. And then the other one, which is just Oh my God, I'm recommending this to everyone, like even people that don't think they're interested in this kind of thing at all, which at this point you're probably like fast forwarding if you're not, whatever. It's called In the Dark, and it is about another long unsolved mystery, although they did end up, the killer ended up confessing very recently. I think it was like earlier this year, but this was from, in the 1980s, there was a boy in Minnesota or maybe Wisconsin. I apologize for the fact that I will forever mix those two states up. It's about this kidnapping that resulted in a murder in the 1980s of a young boy, and what's fascinating about it is the repercussions of it. This was actually the kidnapping that led to all of the legislation that created the National Sex Offender Registry, which, if you know anything about that, you know has like had a lot of unforeseen consequences, many of which not great. So it is another one of those things where the police kind of screwed up and then it was left unsolved, and there were all these people who felt like they had information but they weren't being listened to, and it's like an 8-part series. I think it was an 8-part and then a 9 episode addendum, that each episode really looks at a different side of the crime. And if you're into Serial, like this is, I feel like, the only podcast that has ever felt like it filled a bit of the place that season 1 of Serial filled. And honestly, I've had tons of recommendations based on Serial, and the way that this examines larger repercussions and sort of looks at it from all these different angles, and the way it's produced, it's just really smart in that same way that Serial was. So in the book, which I'm still reading, is called The Stranger She Loved, and God, I don't know who wrote it. Okay, let me look it up because it's totally uncool to not name the author. The Stranger She Loved, a Mormon Doctor, His Beautiful Wife, and an Almost Perfect Murder by Shanna Hogan. So, sorry, I have ghost lighting again, ghost story lighting. So this is a story about this man who is basically like a con artist his whole life, and he murdered his wife and his daughters. When they realized it, had to fight for years to get custody of and protect their younger sisters, and lock their father up. And it definitely hits that sort of like justice for women thing that I like. So even the events leading to her murder really stem from some of the problems with a culture of tamping down women's power, and not just modern American culture, but more specifically the insular culture of certain religions, in this case Mormonism. This woman felt that her husband was going to kill her, and her daughter suspected that he was going to kill her, and they kind of didn't do anything about it, or didn't do enough about it, for complicated reasons that involve sort of being taught to defer to him. So that's what I'm reading right now. I lied. I said I don't have a tech favorite this week, but I do. It's just not relevant to everyone. It's relevant to knitters and crocheters, and that is Ravelry. If you do not know, Ravelry is like social media for fiber artists and crafters, basically. You can find just all the patterns, even if they're not available online. You can find out what book they're in and then go and get that at your library or order it from Amazon or whatever. And you can track all of your projects, you can find all of the yarn, you can queue things up, what you're going to do next, and make friends and follow other people, and there's forums, and I mean, it is just really, really great. If you do any kind of fiber art and you don't know about it yet because you're not tapped into sort of the online community and you're just sort of in your own bubble the way that I was, get on it because it's great. And if you don't do fiber art, don't worry, we're moving along to the next segment right now. Now you see why I need extra videos to talk about knitting, because I'm so obsessed with knitting that it's basically just going to make its way into the other segments if I don't give it its own segment. All right, and my final favorite is lifestyle, and for that it's very fitting for the holiday season because it is about donating to worthy causes, whatever that means for you. causes, organizations that express, that do good things for the world based on your values, and really seeing that as a way to vote and affect change in the world. So basically, after the presidential election results came in, which I'm not going to talk about in detail here, but I will just say that I think a lot of us felt really powerless, and in a similar way to in 2000 when the popular vote and the electoral college vote split, but also, which they did again this year, but also just in, on a much larger scale for obvious reasons because of who won. And in my search to try to find what I could do to help make the world better, feeling like, well, all three branches of government are controlled by Republicans now, and more scarily, the alt-right, that I found a list of organizations that help immigrants and Muslims and gay, bi, trans people and women and people of color, and all of the things that I feel, all of the people who I feel are marginalized and have been really, really hit by Donald Trump's win. And so I started searching and compiling and adding to the list, and I've been doing this thing where every day until the end of the year, I donate just $5 to a different organization on that list, and then I post it to Facebook, and I remind other people to vote with their wallet, and I share the donation page so that they can vote for that. They can donate to that organization if they want, or just, take on the idea and vote where their values are with their wallet. So I know that in the minimalism community here on YouTube, there's a great understanding that what we spend our money on is a big way that we can change the world, really. And the thing is that in the capitalist society that we live in here in America, with a kind of flawed political system in certain ways, actually our loudest voice might be our voice as consumers. And I think that sucks in a lot of ways, and it's scary, and it can be hard, but there's a certain responsibility that we should accept for the fact that that is one way that we are being listened to. And you can change your purchases, but you can also choose to put your money into, you can choose to not put your money into things you don't believe in, but you can also be more proactive and put your money toward things that you do believe in. So that's been a big focus for me lately. I stemmed out of the election. I think that it goes hand in hand with the holiday season, because this is all about the spirit of giving. And I think it's just a new focus that I want to have in my life. So that brings us to the end of November favorites. I hope you appreciated this video. If you did, please give it the thumbs up. That would be so great. If you enjoy my content, don't forget to share it on social media. The thumbs up helps other people find me as well. And subscribe if you haven't yet. I would love to have you. If you do subscribe, make sure you leave me a comment letting me know that you have, so that I can welcome you to my channel. Thanks a lot. Bye.